Hi, everyone. Welcome to my Hot Topic Tuesday. I'm joining you again this week. And today we are going to talk about the truth about cholesterol and what that actually matters for your heart health. Um, February is a focus on heart health, so I thought that cholesterol would actually be a really, really good topic. I have to say, I get asked probably about, I don't know, at least 5 times a week about, can you give me some tips on how to lower cholesterol? Like, how do I fix my cholesterol? How do I lower my cholesterol? It's not that easy, but it's also not that complicated. But with that being said, let's kind of dive right on in. Okay, so you've probably been told that cholesterol's bad, kind of gets a bad rap, and that high cholesterol leads to heart attacks. But what if I told you that that's only part of the story? So today I'm going to break down the truth about cholesterol in a way that's simple and easy to understand. So those of y'all that are watching, give me an emoji in the comments if you or someone you know or love has worried about their cholesterol levels in the past. This kind of seems to be a common occurrence. Those of y'all that are joining me for the first time, I am April Blackford, and I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and I work with clients to address the root cause of basically their metabolic chaos, whether that's through gut deficiencies, hormone imbalances, and so forth. So with that being said, first, what is cholesterol? Most people think that cholesterol is just fat in the blood, but it's actually so much more important than that. Now, why does your body need cholesterol? Our body makes cholesterol on its own because basically it's essential for life. Like we need cholesterol. Cholesterol helps us in many ways. First, it builds cells. Cholesterol, just kind of imagine cholesterol is basically like the bricks in the walls of our cells. Cholesterol also helps to produce hormones like estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol. Cholesterol also helps to make vitamin D, which vitamin D specifically helps support our bones and immune system. Cholesterol also helps to create bile, which in turn helps digest fats. So it has a lot of roles within the body. So it's pretty important. Now, where does cholesterol come from? A fun fact is um, our liver actually makes 80% of our cholesterol. Our liver makes 80% of our cholesterol, and only 20% actually comes from food. So even if you eat a zero cholesterol diet, our body is still going to make it. So majority of it is produced in the liver. We do want to make sure that our liver health is on point. And if you've watched any of my videos, I kind of do harp a little bit on the liver. It's one of those undervalued, underloved organs. It's the most unsexy organ we have, but it is so, so, so important in so many functions within the body. So you got to give your liver some love. Now, what are some different types of cholesterol? Cholesterol is not just good or bad. It's more like the different types of let's talk about it like different types of delivery trucks in the bloodstream. First, we have our LDL, which is the low density lipoprotein. This is sometimes considered the bad cholesterol, can be referred to as bad cholesterol. Let's consider this the delivery truck. So LDL carries cholesterol from the liver to your cells, almost kind of like Amazon delivered in packages everywhere. So that's kind of like what LDL does. The problem here is if LDL stays in the blood too long, then it can get damaged. Basically, it can oxidize and then stick to artery walls. So that's the issue with LDL with the so-called bad cholesterol. Then you have ADL, the high density lipoprotein, which is also referenced, a lot of times referenced as the good cholesterol. And let's consider this like the cleanup crew. So HDL, the good cholesterol, takes extra cholesterol back to the liver so it doesn't clog up our arteries. So the good cholesterol is almost kind of like the cleanup crew. Like I'm just going to come in here and clean up all this excess and tidy up. And then you have your triglycerides. Now, triglycerides, let's look at this and consider this like the extra energy storage. So triglycerides, these are extra fats stored in the blood when you eat more than your body needs. So high triglycerides plus low HDL, which is like bad, good cholesterol. So high triglycerides and low good cholesterol can be basically make you at a bigger risk of heart disease than just high cholesterol alone. So you want to kind of look at those two combinations. So it's not just about high cholesterol, it's about the type of cholesterol and whether it's working properly. Now, why cholesterol alone isn't the problem. So I know I've talked about this before, just kind of like I kind of harped about the liver before, but do you know what the real villain here is? It's not the cholesterols in isolation. The real villain here is inflammation. Always harping about inflammation. Inflammation is basically like a fire in your blood vessels. So imagine that you got a cut on your skin, it turns red, it swells, and it forms a scab. That is basically inflammation doing its job. That is inflammation doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, imagine that's happening inside your arteries. So, if your arteries, if they get inflamed, then cholesterol is going to rush in to help patch the damage. But if inflammation keeps happening, then cholesterol keeps building up, and then in turn, that can form the dangerous plaque that maybe your doctor or you've read articles or you have a family member that's experiencing this. So the real danger is the oxidized LDL and high inflammation, not just high cholesterol. Now, what makes cholesterol dangerous? So the small dense LDL particles, so like the bad cholesterol, these are like tiny sharp, imagine like tiny sharp little BB pellets that can scratch the artery walls. So the LDL particles and then also high triglycerides. High triglycerides, which remember is too much fat in the blood, and then also inflammation, which is basically like gasoline on a fire. So inflammation, say you've got like a little fire that's kind of starting to, or say you've put the fire out and it's kind of starting to smolder. Inflammation comes in and you've got a smoldering fire, you sprinkle gas on it, what's it going to do? It's going to, in turn light up again. So if you reduce inflammation, then you can reduce heart disease, even if your cholesterol is high. Now, how can you check to, or how can you check to know if you're at risk? Most doctors just check total cholesterol and LDL, which that I would argue that that is not enough. Some better tests for heart health would be the actually doing an actual LDL particle size test, like checking to see are they big and fluffy or small and dangerous. Also, you're looking at your triglyceride to HDL ratio. This one is probably the best predictor for heart disease. So the triglyceride to good cholesterol ratio, the goal here would be basically less than a 2-to-1 ratio, is what you're looking for. And then also something that you can look at is your HSCRP, which is your high sensitivity C-reactive protein. You've probably seen it on your lab testing before. This actually measures overall inflammation in the body. So another thing, lastly, that you can look at is looking at your fasting insulin and your blood sugar. That's another one that I'm always kind of harping on. So looking at your fasting insulin and your blood sugar, this tells you if your body's struggling with sugar and overall insulin resistance, which in turn can actually make cholesterol worse. So rather than just the simple looking at total cholesterol, ask your doctor for some of these tests instead of just checking, again, just checking the cholesterol. Now, do you really need statins? So statins, I hear it all the time where someone will get their cholesterol checked and say their LDL is high, and then they'll report back and say, well, my doctor recommended statins. Statins are basically low or cholesterol lowering drugs that are given to millions of people. But the question is can they actually help you? When there are certain situations where statins might be helpful. So if you have a history of heart attacks or strokes, then a statin might be helpful. If you have very high inflammation markers like the HSCRP on your blood markers, that could be a sign that you might need a statin. Now, there are times when statins might not be necessary. If your only issue is high LDL, but your inflammation is low. So your HSCRP is normal range and your LDL is high, then you may not need statins. If your triglyceride to HDL ratio is good, you may not need statins. If you have low insulin resistance and no other risk factors, then you might not need statins. There are some side effects of statins, like muscle pain and weakness, memory issues and brain fog, lower energy. Statins can actually block our CoQ10, which helps our cells make energy. So here's a little tip. Instead of focusing on just lowering cholesterol, work on reducing inflammation in your body. That's going to be the gasoline that drives the fire. So, you want to kind of dampen the inflammation, and you should notice a positive difference. Now, what are natural ways to improve cholesterol and heart health? First of all, you can look at food. So some of the best foods to, lower cholesterol and reduce inflammation would be healthy fats. So healthy fat sources like avocados, olive oil, wild caught salmon. And then you have your fiber-rich foods like cruciferous veggies, leafy greens, flaxseed, chia seed, antioxidant-rich foods like berries, turmeric, green tea. So funny, a little fun fact, or a little funny story. I was chatting with someone at the gym, and we were talking about cholesterol in general, and we talked about, like fiber. So fiber is so important on so many levels within the body, but fiber basically kind of works. Fiber is almost kind of like magical, where it works to bind toxins, it works to bind excess hormones, it can work to bind like excess cholesterol. So fiber is like super important, and it works kind of similarly in a lot of different methods, or a lot of different functions. But I was talking about how I find it funny that Cheerios, advertise that it's heart healthy and reduces cholesterol, but the fiber content is so low that there are so many other foods that would actually, you could get more bang for your buck. Not bashing Cheerios by any means, because I mean, they have their place, and, they're good for some people, but I don't think that they are the magical cholesterol lowering food that they claim to be. Now, what are some foods to avoid if you have issues with your cholesterol? Obviously, you want to avoid processed foods and sugar, because they're going to spike inflammation. And if you remember, inflammation is going to be gas on the fire. So avoid processed foods and sugar, refined sugar, because they're going to spike inflammation. You also want to avoid seed oils. So seed oils like soybean and canola, these can actually create bad cholesterol particles, so avoid seed oils when you can. Um, Now, there are some supplements that you can add in for heart health. And again, I've said this before you consider adding in supplements, focus on your diet first. Don't just go grabbing for supplements if your diet needs some love, So focus on diet first, diet, lifestyle, then supplementation. So some key supplements that can help, to can help for heart health would be the first one would be the most popular would be omega-3s, which is also referred to as fish oil. This can lower triglycerides and reduce overall inflammation in the body. CoQ10, this actually supports heart function, especially if you're already on statins. So if you already take statins, adding in CoQ10 could be a smart supplement to add in. And another one, I probably talk about this supplement almost on every single live I do, probably almost everyone. I know it's mentioned very regularly, is magnesium. Magnesium regulates blood pressure and improves heart function. So magnesium is probably the number one supplement. If you're not taking anything, I would suggest adding in magnesium. So you don't need to actually focus on low-fat diets like most people think to lower cholesterol. Instead, focus on lowering inflammation and balancing your blood sugar. Now, what did we learn today? I tried to make it simple today, y'all. Cholesterol isn't the enemy. Inflammation and insulin resistance are actually bigger risk. The best test is your triglyceride to HDL ratio, not just LDL. So don't just look at your LDL and think that you have a problem. Granted, it's going to be a little bit of a warning sign, but look at your triglyceride to HDL ratio. Focus on anti-inflammatory foods, fiber and movement, not just medication and not just supplements. So ditch the inflammatory foods, up your fiber, add in some movement, then consider supplementation and medication if you need to. So if you learned something new today, drop an emoji in the comments, and also invite you to tag or share this video with a friend or family member who you think could possibly benefit from hearing this. Thank you for watching, and if you're interested in natural ways to improve your health and heal from within, reach out because I would love to help. Have a great week.